Hello and welcome to the episode number 2 of the Red Dot podcast. I'm Richa, a PCOS nutritionist, and I co host this podcast with Namrata. And I'll let Namrata give a brief introduction of herself as well.
Hi, Richa. Good morning, everyone who is listening. And I'm Namrata. I'm an IT professional and I'm also a Sujok certified therapist. And we've started this podcast to talk about period problems and bring to you our journey and how we have healed from period problems.
Absolutely. So, about Sujok therapy, with the last episode, I got a few comments which were asking what exactly is Sujok therapy and also about the May Padam that I mentioned, the workout form that I teach. So, let's just give a brief overview of what these are. So, why don't you start with what is Sujok therapy and how it has helped you?
Okay, so Sujok therapy, it has a Korean background and it comes from Dr. Park Jae-woo. He was the founder of Sujok therapy. And Sujok basically means, Su means hands and Jok means feet. So uh, it's based on acupuncture and acupressure,
Hmm.
and also it has some aspects of the traditional Chinese medicine.
Hmm.
What Sujok therapy does is it treats your hands and your feet, which have nerve endings from each and every part of your body that ends in your hands, and it treats those points instead of treating the organ directly or the part of the body which has pain directly through seed therapy, through color therapy, and through magnets. So there are various ways of treating areas. It's mostly used for pain, but it can also help you heal from a lot of chronic ailments by getting a whole understanding of how your body works. So that's what Sujok therapy is.
Amazing. And how has it helped you?
So I went for Sujok therapy where I met my teachers also, Hemant and Aarti Lodha. They're from Pune and they run this clinic where they treat patients from multiple diseases, chronic diseases also, and acute pain also, from workout or from any other accidents or things like that. And I went to them basically for my period issues itself. Like I was not
Hmm.
getting my periods for maybe more than 1 or 2 months, and
Hmm.
it was starting to manifest as other issues. Like I was having anxiety, and I was also not feeling properly. I was not feeling hungry, and
Hmm.
so a lot of things were impacted because of me not getting periods, and that's
Right.
how I reached to them, and they gave me 2 sessions of acupuncture and sujok therapy, and they gave me some techniques from sujok therapy. That time I was not even certified,
Hmm.
so and that helped me get my periods first, and then it also helped me manage my periods after that, and I got interested that how it works, and if I can use this to help myself and manage my issues
Right.
related to periods or anything else, or pain also. So then that's how I got interested, and I also
Hmm.
helped my family members heal from some back pain that they were having or some stomach issues that they were having. So it has proved very effective from what I've seen in
Right.
also removing pain and problems that were maybe someone was having from maybe more than a year, more than two
Hmm.
years. So it has proved effective for that.
Wow. Amazing. So that's one of the known modalities. I have never come across it. It was you who told me first about it. And speaking about lesser known modalities and rare practices is another practice that we both have learned and that I teach also in my class is May Padam. So that's M with a Mumbai. Uh, and Maipadam is ancient Guru Shishya Parampara, and it's an martial art which has been taught in the southern part of India. So the only surviving Gurukulam teaching it right now, Kshatriya Gurukulam, that is the warrior school of India, is located in Pondicherry, where we did our certification from. So this is a very different form of workout. It's different from yoga. Yoga was something that was, taught to the masses, but this was carried on as a very unique and rare practice, limited to people who were warriors, the armies. And this was the practice of rishis and munis, which was carried down from the guru to the shishya. So not going too much into depth about it. If you want to experience it, you can sign up for my classes, reach out to me. And basically, we do more than 3,000 primary movements that our ancestors used to do, and that bring back the health of our ancestors in our body, because the way you move your body is also going to impact your genes, what traits of your ancestors you're going to express in yourself, and the bravery of your ancestors and courage of your ancestors you're going to feel. That is what it is about. And of course, reviving the health in your body. I am specifically practicing this for getting regular menstrual cycles, and it was the turning point for me and a lot of my students as well. So I think now it's time to dive into the topic of today's episode, where we are going to talk about nutrition, and nutrition specifically to fuel your regular flow of periods. So, as we have said last time, we are going to be dividing the next upcoming episodes based on the Pancha Koshas. That is the understanding in the yoga. So, today's episode is about Annamaya Kosha, or your food loving body. So, Namrata, I would like to ask you, what is your understanding of the Annamaya Kosha and how it affects our periods?
Yes. So, Annamaya Kosha, or the food loving body, or the body that is composed of food. It's of the earth element, and whatever we get from earth that we can to create or nourish this body or sustain this body, that is Annamaya Kosha, or the food loving body. And how it has direct impact on periods, because nutrition, it governs our hormonal cycles and the other processes that go on in our biology. And that's how Anna is directly impacting how our body is growing, it's creating, and it's carrying out all the processes. So
Absolutely.
I think for Annamaya Kosha, I would like to just take this chance to say that this is an effect body, uh, because it's the physical plane of existence when we are talking about Panchakosha and how we are bringing Panchakosha to understand our periods and feminine processes better.
Right.
So the Panchakosha is a five level of existence, and the causal body are the other subtle bodies and the other like Anandamaya Kosha, Vijnana Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and the effect body is the food. So there is like a cause and effect relationship between what you think, what you are doing in daily life, and of course, whatever you've inherited from your ancestors,
Correct.
the DNA, the genetic
Right.
aspects of it. And that is what is causing a direct effect on your physical level of existence, that is the Annamaya Kosha. And that is what we'll be discussing about today as well.
Yes, yes. So we are going to be getting more in depth about, how nutrition supports you throughout the cycles. What is the kind of nutrition you should be having, to have a regular flow, have a healthy period. And it's about food and nutrition, what you put in your mouth, and literally what your cells and your bodies are made up of. And I would like to recount one incident to tell you that how important it is that we take charge of what we are putting in our mouth, because if you're not conscious of it, it's going to go downhill. So I went to the theaters, the cinemas last week to watch Oppenheimer, Good movie, not as good as I was expecting. And that's the review from everyone because Christopher Nolan and everyone was like, wow, prepared your brains to be blown away like in Interstellar. Anyway, so I usually don't have popcorn, but maybe once in three movies, I am allowed to have popcorn. That's the rule I've set for myself. So I went to the counter, and of course, they've kept this big buckets of popcorn for sale. And I think this has just come to India very recently. This is the American concept of having food in bucket. It's just since last 3 4 years I'm seeing that. So I tell him, give me the smallest one. The smallest cup is not even there in the display. It's always hidden behind. So I tell him, give me that one. So he said, oh, but for 10 rupees, you can just upgrade and get double the amount of popcorn. And 10 rupees more, you can get a small bucket. And just for 10 rupees more, you can get a big, huge bucket which can feed like 10 people. So I said, no, no, I don't want it. And then he looked at me like I was crazy, like, was I trying to save 10 rupees? But no, I was trying to save my health. That small cup would suffice for me and my husband. So, yeah, that is what I want to make a point is that if you're not conscious, then the whole system, the whole society is rigged so that you end up choosing the unhealthy stuff. You end up choosing the literally poisonous stuff that is going to harm your body and harm your hormones. And like, has this ever happened to you, Namrita, that you go buy a product and then you find a healthier alternative which does not have the additives and all in it, okay, and not the artificial flavoring. So you go for the healthier option and you realize this is not as bad, this is almost as good as something that has the artificial flavoring. So why are they feeding us with all those toxins and chemicals when it can work really fine even without those chemicals?
Right. So, not in the past 2 years. In the past 2 years, since I started cleaning up and becoming
Yeah.
conscious of what I consume and what I make a part of my body,
Right.
I have not done that. But yeah, before that, I was also part of the problem because consuming more and more is how we are fed since I think conditioning from school or maybe
Yeah,
it's
and
just
it's
what we see people around us do. That's the accepted norm. That
yeah,
it's good that you're getting more for lesser price. So
right,
why not consume more?
correct.
But we are not conscious of the trade-off that we are
Right.
going through to get that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I've switched to a protein powder which does not have all the additives and emulsifiers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. Like, it's not bad or inedible or anything like that. And then I go back and look at all the popular protein brands. They have all the emulsifiers, artificial flavoring. Why?
Yes.
So, yeah.
There is a problem, but it was originally done to increase the shelf life of the products. But I think today we have the kind of technology and the kind of research that can promote healthier eating also.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
are alternatives, and we have to understand how it is. We as consumers have to understand how it is directly correlated with our gut,
Yes.
and
Yes.
how our gut and everything that we consume. And
Right.
basically, coming to the topic now,
Yeah.
the Annamaya Kosha or the food body or the nutrition that we are providing to our physical body, how it is directly impacting our hormones and controlling the hormone cycles. And
Hmm.
our periods are completely guided by hormones. So we have to be aware of what we are consuming, how much we are consuming, a little more consciously.
Absolutely. Yes. And your appetite, the way you eat varies over the menstrual cycle. Okay, we all
Yes.
know this. And even my students and my clients, they come to me saying, I was having insatiable hunger last week. I don't know what's wrong. I said, are your periods approaching? Yeah, yeah, they will be here starting any moment. So I said, that's why. So we have a beautiful diagram for you, which Namrita has made. So we will just share that and show you how the nutrition requirement changes over the period, and also what kind of nutrients support your cycle. So literally fueling your flow. These are the nutrients that will be fueling your flow. So just give me a second here. For those of you who are listening to the audio, you can go to our Instagram account. I will be linking that in the group description and see the diagram because you won't be able to see it in the audio. So here it is.
Yeah, I would just start with how the female body, follows 28-day hormonal cycle, more or less 28 days. Of course, there are fluctuations. While in men, it's different. So, if you see all diets, all workout plans, and even our work office environment, most of these things were researched on male bodies and was designed for male bodies. So,
Right,
not everything works for us. So, when you are following a particular diet and you're following it to the T, to the core, and you're not aware of how your hormones are at that point of time, and you're taking more and more protein where your body or your liver needs a little bit of rest, then it can have some kind of adverse impacts and you will feel uncomfortable. So, this is what this diagram is explaining. We have just taken the basic two. There are many hormones that
yeah,
play a part in your hormonal cycle, that govern your periods, that regulate your periods. But these are the two main ones that we've taken. One, the blue line is progesterone, and the pink one is estrogen. Now, these are the two main hormones that you need to be aware of, and it's also impacted a lot by the food you intake and the activity that you're doing. So, this graph is basically explaining how you can consume and move in order to sustain your physical body and in order to balance out your period cycle. So, day one is of the day that your period starts. So, your cycle starts from day one that you get your period. From then, we have spanned this diagram to 28 days of your cycle. Okay. So, I think the first phase where you can see progesterone and estrogen both are low, and that's when you are having your periods. It's mostly like the average of 5 to 7 days that you get your periods, and that time you can have the least amount of activities because you don't have a lot of energy to do a lot of things, and your body is already shedding out your uterus lining, right? So you need rest, and you can do minimal activity like yoga, stretches, or stretching out, or going out for a light walk or something like that. And Richard, do you want to take over the nourishment part?
hi, yes. The follicular phase.
Yes, like the kind of food that we're eating
Yeah, yeah, right,
and
right.
whatever
So,
we've stated.
especially in during your menstruation, one supplement I would like to. It's a nutrient you can also take as a supplement that has really helped me with the cramps, and many women is the magnesium. So taking magnesium rich foods which are mostly seafoods, or you can even, if you're a vegetarian, you can even go for magnesium supplements that really helps with the cramps, or if you're having period pain and all of that. And then of course having a lot of comforting food during your menstrual phase is good, because you are in that resting mode. Your body needs that love and care. Yeah, and then moving on to the follicular phase, uh, definitely omega 3s you need a lot of fiber. By the way, what I came across in research is that estrogen is a appetite suppressing hormone. Yeah, and progesterone is a appetite stimulating hormone. And I see this in my experience also. Around my ovulation time, I can do even 24 hours of fast very, very easily. But once I go into the second phase of the cycle, fasting becomes more difficult.
Mhm.
So that is because progesterone is telling you to eat more, and makes sense also because your body is preparing to have a baby. So it tells you to really load up on that.
Yeah, right, Richa. And if at that particular time you would have forced your body to eat more if when you're not hungry,
Yeah,
and you will end up accumulating more than your body requires,
yeah,
and
right,
then that will create a toxic situation in your body. Not toxic as such, but what needs to be processed and the kind of nourishment you think you are getting from this source of food, you won't be getting that.
correct, correct. So it's so important to listen to your body when there are days around your ovulation. If you don't feel like eating, you feel like skipping a meal, go for it. Again, we have this very rigid form of eating where we think, okay, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is what we need to have, and in a lot of Indian homes, there is evening snacks also in between. So it's not necessary. Start listening to your body. Also, this follicular phase and the time around ovulation is a good time for you to be in a calorie deficit. Those of you who are looking for weight loss or maintaining your weight, it will be very natural for you to be in a calorie deficit, so you can somewhat offset the overeating or calories, not overeating but calorie surplus that you might be doing in the luteal phase, which is the second half of the cycle.
Yes.
So naturally you can balance it out. Don't think that this is the same amount of food you have to eat in the same meals throughout the month. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. Okay. So this whole from day one to day until your ovulation is kind of the follicular phase. But after your periods end, we are marking the follicular phase here, where we start seeing a rise in estrogen and a little bit rise in progesterone as well.
Right.
So that is the time your body is also detoxing a lot, because
Hmm.
all your hormonal residual hormones need to
Yeah.
be cleared off from the body, and your liver is taking that responsibility for you. So you need to be a little kind to your liver also, and probably not uh, drink people who drink. They can have lesser amount of alcohol or no alcohol, because your
Yes.
liver is working really hard to clear off all the toxins and
Hmm.
to prepare your body
Right.
nicely for ovulation and the rise in estrogen that's going to come up, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
can support that with, of course, you can start your activities also, like low impact workout and cardio. You can support your diet or nutrition from a lot of leafy greens that
Right.
will and complex carbs that will help you sustain your liver, which
Right.
is like of a very important function during this phase. So then I think we move on to the ovulation, which lasts from maybe day 13 on average to day 16. And that time estrogen peaks, and you are at the highest level of energy in your cycle, and you feel supercharged to do things. That is the time where you can do a lot of high intensity training, and since you will be doing a lot of high intensity training, you'll be needing carbs. You will need energy. There's a lot of fad, culture going on around how carbs are not good for you and how you should not be eating carbs. But Richa, you want to say something about the kind of carbs that
Hmm.
people are trying to refrain from, but
Yeah.
how important it is for maintaining our body functions also.
Right, 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 right. So going on keto diet for a long time or extremely low carbs for a long time actually puts your body in a lot of stress. And on top of that, if you're having chronic conditions like inflammation, PCOS, uh, then and thyroid as well, then it can put your body more into the stress mode. Okay, because we have been evolved to have a good amount of carbohydrates. So yeah, I don't recommend completely cutting out carbs ever. But what you should be cutting out is definitely the wheat, because it is so heavily, sprayed with pesticides. The maida, the refined carbs, that is what we want to throw out of the window. But you can still have your complex carbs, your millets, and yeah, so millet bread and all of the things, and of course vegetables that also come under carbs. So no need to completely throw out carbs. And again, listen to your body, because in this phase I naturally want to eat less. So it's a good time for me to get into that deficit. But yeah, carbs, and if you are, naturally you will be in high energy, you will be spending more energy being active, and if you're working out, doing high impact exercise, high intensity exercises, definitely you need that carbs.
Exactly.
And also, I looked at another research which was looking at the consumption of macros across the menstrual cycle. So, it was a
Mhm.
study done with around 500 women. So, what they found out was there was a slight increase in consumption of protein during the luteal phase, and carbs was, yeah, peaking somewhat in the follicular and ovulation phase, although not much significantly. But the only significant difference was women were having, naturally they were not given a diet, naturally they were having more animal protein rich food during the luteal phase, again, which makes sense because your body is preparing to make a baby, which requires a lot of amino acids and protein.
Right. And Richa, like you mentioned more about the luteal phase. So actually, we are also approaching the luteal phase right now, and there's a lot of like whatever research I have come across that says that you should do more strength training in the luteal phase
Hmm.
because your you have the amount of estrogen and progesterone balance that you need
Hmm.
for muscle building as well.
Right.
And that's why I think there's a lot of it. Your diet will kind of your body will tell you that you need to
Hmm.
have more protein because there's a lot of muscle building also happening
Right.
internally. Even if you're not working out, even if you're someone who's not doing a lot of strength training, you will require some amount of protein. So it's good to have protein rich diet during this phase, which is quite
Right.
a long phase. It lasts about 2 weeks and right
Yeah.
before your periods start. I also
Right.
came across this how you can use this particular phase to ease yourself from PMS symptoms. Like
Hmm.
because right after this phase, your periods are going to come and you will experience some PMS symptoms.
Right.
Women who do experience it, like maybe anxiety, maybe bloating, cramps, and there is particular groups of food that help you ease all of the cramps that you'll be experiencing right before your periods or during your periods. And it takes some time for your body to ingest. Once you've started consuming it, the vitamins and nutrients that need to be absorbed, ingested, and used by your body, it takes some amount of time. So maybe a week before you think your periods are going to come or you've marked your calendar, you can start consuming this food because it generally takes 2 to 3 days for this these nutrients to actually start working and start helping you ease the cramps, start helping you ease your anxiety and overthinking, bloating, and all those symptoms. So I
Right.
think tryptophan is something that we came across.
Hmm.
Tryptophan-rich food, it actually helps. There's a lot of research on it that it helps you produce more serotonin
Hmm.
in your brain,
Hmm.
and it is responsible. Serotonin is the chemical that's responsible for easing your pains in the body, and it is also like the happy chemical that helps
Hmm.
you feel good overall, and it relaxes your nervous system as well. So if you have foods that are rich in tryptophan, that is mostly it's found in nuts and seeds. And if you go for dairy sources, then you find it in cheese, you find it in milk also. So if you increase the consumption of these food items, and you can see how it's affecting your PMS and if it is improving it also.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So coming to milk, I was curious to know about, you told me that the milk over there is suiting you, right? So
Yeah.
how is it when you consume milk in India? Was there ever a point you gave up on milk in India and versus Indian milk versus the milk you find in Finland?
Okay. So 2 years ago, I was having a lot of health issues. That's when I switched to vegan diet for some amount of time because my liver was overloaded with toxins and I needed to detox big time. So that's when I gave up on all dairy products and lot of and of course meat products also. and any animal products as such, and refined carbs and refined oils and everything like that. So, particularly with respect to milk, I saw that I was feeling bloated after consuming milk or milk products, and I was having either acidity or I was feeling irritated and uncomfortable overall on a physical level. I was not feeling well after having milk. So I had to stop it. And after, say, 6 or 7 months, I started again, little by little with the commercial milk, but I found it was not suiting me that well. That is when I found an A2 milk or the Desi Gai Ka Doodh from one of the farms, and I started introducing it little by little in my diet. I didn't well all full blown ki I have to finish 1 liter of milk in 2 days, something like that. I started introducing like maybe twice a week, maybe thrice a week. I used to have milk, very little quantities, and I found that it was suiting me. So when I came to Finland, I was again looking for pasture, like freely moving cows. There's a concept of freely moving cows that is tagged on the milk packets over here, and it's great that I found that. And these are free range cows, that is, they're allowed to move freely, and they are raised in a very good or environment, and they are given a good feed to eat, mostly organic feed,
Okay.
basically whatever you find on the farms. So that's when I understood that it's about what the cow is also consuming. It's about the kind of diet that cow is also fed, and the kind of
Right.
reproductive system that these milk farms are also following the cows,
Hmm.
and the kind of emotions that the cows have, not
Hmm.
emotions, but the kind of environment they are kept in and they are bred in, because
Right.
uh, that impacts the kind of high estrogen or high hormone or antibiotic that is coming directly in your milk,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's how it's being processed on a commercial scale right now. So
Right.
not everyone has the feasibility to get farm milk. But
Yeah.
if you think you are experiencing issues with the commercial milk, maybe it's time you can try out your local farm and see if they're keeping the cows in a good condition and feeding them, not feeding them with antibiotics. Because I think one of the main reasons, even if other conditions are not satisfied, if the cow feed is consists of antibiotics, it is going to cause a lot of problems coming, like maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, or maybe
Yeah.
once you reach
Yeah.
over 30 or 40 or whatever that
So
age is.
yeah, so in my experience with milk, I did not have any of the physical symptoms that you
Hmm.
listed. I was having milk every day. Fortunately, I got my blood test done and my food allergy test done, and I found out that I was highly intolerant to milk.
Okay.
And then I stopped it, and then a lot of my period problems started coming down. The pain started coming down,
Hmm.
and also I was getting random headaches which I could not link to milk. I didn't know. Until you give it up, you don't know how much more healthier and better you could be. So yeah, sometimes you think it's suiting you, but maybe it's not. So it's worth giving it up for at least a month and see.
Yeah, I don't think so. You will lose a lot of calcium in your bones if you give it up for 1 month.
No.
Because milk
Yeah.
is directly linked with calcium. And I saw your post the other day of what are the other sources of calcium, and I think sesame seeds are the highest in calcium. Like, but
Sesame
it's
seeds,
also
ragi.
very hot in ragi, right?
Yeah.
But I
Ragi
think
millet
sesame
is.
seeds are also very hot in nature if you
Yeah.
consume it. So
Yeah.
there has to be moderation. But yeah,
Right.
you have other sources of calcium. It's not like milk is sufficing all your nutritional needs. So
True.
people, I think people take it very personally if you ask them to give up milk
Yes, it's all
or
the
milk
white
products.
revenue marketing.
Yeah, just be conscious of where your food is coming from. I think that will solve a lot of problems, because a lot of foods of the commercial nature are sprayed with pesticides, have antibiotics, and have artificial coloring agents, preservatives, and chemicals, which are choking up your inner environment. They're choking up your
Yes.
liver. And if you already follow a sedentary lifestyle, if you don't have a physically active lifestyle,
Right.
and say you have a desk job that where you have to sit for 10 hours a day, and then you don't have enough energy to do a proper workout of half an hour or something, or even move about, then it's all accumulating, and these are manifesting as lifestyle diseases, especially for
Right.
women, as period disorders and mood disorders and so many other issues, and they
Absolutely.
totally disrupt your hormonal cycles as well, right, Richa?
Yeah, definitely, of course. And speaking of the food loving body, Annamaya Kosha, the things that are related to a menstrual cycle, affecting your menstrual cycle that you hear about, like your gut health, your gut microbiome. Okay, so the gut health or gut microbiome is nothing but a colony of millions of bacteria that are helping you to absorb the nutrients, produce nutrients, and break down the excess of hormones that need to be carried out of your body as well. So it's like a garden that you need to maintain. Your gut microbacteria is like a variety of good flowers and seeds that you maintain in your garden. So yeah, eating a lot of fibers helps with that. Then other things that affect your menstrual cycle is your insulin resistance, because a high amount of insulin is the root of many problems, and a high amount of insulin also tells your ovaries to make excess of male hormones, and which are causing you the symptoms like hair loss, acne, facial hair, putting on weight, belly fat. All of that is happening because of excess of insulin. So again, controlling what kind of carbs you have. We are not recommending to go completely off carbs, at least not for a longer period of time. So consuming good amount of vegetables, fibers is going to help by not spiking that insulin every time you have carbohydrates.
Yeah. Richa, speaking of insulin resistance, when any female person is diagnosed with PCOS or PCOD,
Yeah,
first thing they're asked to do is to lose weight,
right,
right? And
right.
I've seen women, they struggle a lot to lose weight, and maybe they're not targeting the right problem. A lot
Yeah,
of them may be experiencing insulin resistance that is not discovered by any blood tests also, and your doctor
right,
will say that your tests are coming back in the normal range. But
right.
if you see the symptoms and you compare it, you can actually correlate that it's an insulin resistance problem, and that is why they're not able to lose weight. That is why they are having most of these hormonal imbalances, because insulin is the main hormone that governs so many functions in your body, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, you're right in saying that a lot of women don't know that they have insulin resistance, and I'm getting a lot of students who are actually lean and having insulin resistance.
Okay.
So now in that case, if you're lean and you're having PCOS and insulin resistance, you don't need to lose weight. Of course, you need to get stronger, build muscle, all of that. But don't lose weight in that case. But you still need to focus on balancing your insulin without losing weight. And the blood test that mostly people see is the blood glucose, but no one is looking at fasting insulin and postprandial insulin. So yeah, that is something that everyone should be aware of, and it definitely affects your hormonal cycle even if you have not been diagnosed with PCOS. But if you're having some menstrual irregularities or period pain, it's worth looking into. By
Absolutely. So,
yeah,
yes, yes,
go ahead.
sure.
You go ahead.
So, apart from insulin resistance, there are also a lot of other issues that I've come across, since we are stating that there is a direct gut and hormone relationship, right? Because
Yes,
what you eat is the kind of nutrients that are absorbed in your body.
yes,
So you
right,
think that you're eating a lot of things. If you don't have the
yes,
right stomach acid, your that food will not be absorbed. The nutrients will not break down and be absorbed by your body. If you
right,
have a parasite invasion in your gut, if you have
yeah.
parasites, if you have worms, then they will be leaching onto all those minerals and nutrients, and it will not reach to your cells. where it is
Absolutely.
required. So we
Correct.
have to look at many aspects. If you come through a PCOS diagnosis, and like what is your next course of action, do you also look at all these points, if they're iron deficient, if they have
Yeah.
parasites, or if they have insulin resistance, mineral
Yeah.
imbalances also, right?
Right. 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 Absolutely. So a lot of nutrients are, essential for your ovulation, egg quality. Like we saw it in
Mhm.
the diagram, and about yeah, the gut health. I do look at gut health. I do look at iron. Sometimes when the iron is low, it is not because the woman is having less iron. She's consuming the iron, but it is all used up by the infections, bacteria and viruses in her body, because iron is literally like candy for viruses and bacteria. So that could be the cause of low iron, which is in turn affecting your period flow, right? If you're losing so much blood every month, you need good amount of iron to build back your blood and blood cells. So yes, another thing I see very common apart from insulin resistance is inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Like inflammation is in general very high nowadays across all the population, and with PCOS, it is even more interlinked. So again, you need, and sometimes the inflammation is happening because your body is chronically lacking certain nutrients like folate ho gaya, vitamin D. Most like 90% of people, 95% of people are deficient in vitamin D and chronically deficient. Their digits will be in eight
Mm.
or nine single digits where it should be above 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember 2 years ago when I was facing all these problems, I had a vitamin D level of 3, maybe.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
really, yes. So it is really bad, and we don't realize it until it really hits you in the head.
Yeah,
And maybe the macro and micronutrients balance
right,
needs to be
right.
looked at more closely when you're facing a problem that is physically manifesting, that is manifesting
Yes,
in your physical body, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
I had one more question. Like, how is diabetes? Is diabetes a can it be a direct cause of you having period disorders?
Yeah, I think it works the other way around.
Okay.
Your insulin resistance, when not treated, it is
Mm-hmm.
going to affect your cycles, and then it is going to turn into diabetes. And diabetes is something, the high sugar level in your body is going to again generally cause the high inflammation in your body. It's going to be an acidic environment, which is going to, help more of the bad bacteria rather than the good bacteria to grow and thrive. So,
Mm-hmm.
just overall in your body, if you're having high sugar floating around, you're creating a system where you are supporting the bad kind of bacteria, you're supporting inflammation, oxidative stress, and all of that is going to affect your ovaries, your uterus. So I think it's not that the periods cause the diabetes, it's that the insulin resistance cause the period problem, and when left unchecked, that insulin resistance progresses into diabetes.
So, do we have to take care of the amount of sugar we are consuming also?
Yes, absolutely. Give up on sugar. If you're having cravings, what you can have is dates, or you can have maybe fruits. Yeah, once in a while it's okay if there's some occasion or something, that's fine, but you should be giving up on simple carbohydrates and sugar.
Of course, in situations where it's necessary, suppose you're fainting and you'll say, "No, no, get me some honey or get me some dates." That won't work. You will need simple carbs at that time when your body needs it. But on a daily basis, since it's a lifestyle disease that we are
Yeah,
targeting, you have to make these big changes in your lifestyle that are directly impacting your
yeah,
blood sugar,
yeah,
and it is causing blood sugar spikes. And these days, I've seen a lot of research come around how blood sugar spikes can be averted. So it's not something that you cannot avoid and that you cannot
yeah.
take care of before it turns into something really big.
Right, absolutely. And one more thing with sugar, which I wanted to talk about, are the painful periods, right? So now your painful periods are caused by a hormone like substance. It's not exactly a hormone, called prostaglandins. Okay,
Mhm.
prostaglandins is something that helps your body to fight the inflammation in your body. So like if you have a scratch somewhere, you need the blood clot to be formed and the swelling comes there, it is helped in that. But it is also the molecule that is causing the uterine contractions for your uterus to shed the lining, and it is kicking in during the time of childbirth also. Now, for those of you women who are having painful periods like I used to have, this is the one that is causing all that painful period, because when the prostaglandins goes in higher amount, it will cause you excruciating pain. Okay, of course, other reasons of painful period could be fibroids or endometriosis. But if you're not having that in young girls and women, it is the excess of prostaglandins. And what would cause this prostaglandins to go up, shoot up, is the inflammatory foods, right? Because it is an anti-inflammatory response. So whenever you're having inflammatory foods like sugar, you're having more of maida, you're having oily stuff, and you are having dairy. If dairy doesn't suit you, for me, that was, I was intolerant to that. So all these inflammatory foods were causing my prostaglandins to really shoot up and cause immense pain during periods. So yeah, periods is also a time when you get your report card, you know, how you have treated your body for the whole month and even preceding months.
Mm.
So yes, give up sugar for that reason also. If you are having painful periods, that is the inflammatory food that is causing it.
Wow, that was good insight, because that's right how inflammation is it's kind of derailing your cells and how your cells are metabolizing your food also. So whatever you consume, if there's inflammation in the body, it's going to have an adverse impact. Okay, I think we
Absolutely.
had a really good discussion about the.
Yes, I loved it. Right from the appetite, how it
Mhm.
varies throughout the cycle,
Yes,
to how estrogen, progesterone is controlling it and varying throughout, the kind of foods you should be having and avoiding.
yes.
We have covered a
Yeah.
lot of ground.
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing, that the cycle syncing that we showed the graph of, it's called cycle syncing, and how you can, it's not supposed to be followed to the T. Like ऐसा नहीं है कि luteal phase में प्रोटीन ही प्रोटीन खाना है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You have to, you need to be intuitive. You need to understand your body more, and I think step one of healing is understanding how your body is working,
Right,
how your physical processes in your body is working. If there is a pain, why is that pain happening, and how you can solve it. There is always
right,
a reason for pain. A pain will not manifest until and unless you have treated or you have overlooked some aspect in your body.
right.
So if you are having period pains, then do take a closer look, and do take a look at your diet first, definitely. Then if you are doing some activity or not, even walking is more than enough, because most of the population today has a sedentary lifestyle. And if you are cooking up in your toxins and you're not allowing the toxins to come out of your body, then it will cause disease, it will cause
Yes,
problems. And you have to make sure that every process of elimination of waste in your body is happening on time. Be it your urination, kidney should be filtering out properly. Your poop, you should at least go once in a day. And if you're missing, then you should find out why you're missing, if you're constipated or something, because that will also accumulate more and more toxins in your body. And this will not allow your hormonal functions to happen properly. And if your hormones are not working properly, you will either miss a period, you will have period pains, you will have PCOS, and other
right,
related issues. So it's very important for you to see that every cellular level elimination and physical level elimination is also working properly. And I think your uterine lining shedding is also a process of elimination, because the egg that was not fertilized and the lining that was created it has to be shed by the uterus for the next cycle to begin, for the egg to be released and fertilized. So if you're missing a period, don't take it lightly. Uh, you should find out why you're missing the period, because then the next level of lining will be formed on top of, and there can be tissue accumulation. There can be so many other issues that happen, right?
Right. Absolutely. So yes, with that we come to the end of the episode. And those of you who are watching the live or watching it later, please leave in a comment. You know what has been your experience about nourishing your body, and what patterns have you seen with the foods you consume and your period cycles. And next Sunday, same time, we are going to be doing the episode 3 of this Red Dot podcast. And we are going to be talking about our energy body, or the Pranamaya Kosha. So, how the flow of energy changes throughout the month and how it is affected, and habits and practices you can follow to balance it.
Yes.
So, see you. Any bye bye messages from Namrita?
No, I think we are good today. I'm excited to see you all in the next, because we are going to dive a little deeper. Because this was just the physical aspect, we are going to dive much deeper in the coming podcasts on the energy level, on the emotional level, and the spiritual aspect also, and how you can use all of this knowledge to understand your periods better.
Right, right. All right. So with that, we end the podcast, and we
Yes.
will see you next week, same time, Sunday, 10 a.m. Indian time.